We're live. All right. So Alan and I today are going to talk about what does an economic slowdown mean for the housing market? This is like the big question, Alan.
I know it really is. I mean, it's definitely in the news, and the Feds have. We're not economists. We'll just state that up front, okay?
I know, but economics is so interesting. Have
It
you read
is.
the
I think
book?
it's interesting.
Yeah, there's this book I just read, like I just finished it like maybe a month ago called Donut Economics. It was very good. Highly recommend to people. Anyway, you're right. We're not
We're
economists.
not economists. Based on what we are reading from people who are economists, it appears that we are most likely in a recession, and probably 2 months of lower GDP will show us that. But we're most likely in a recession, and you only find out after the fact, that you actually were in a
Right.
recession. But we all know, based on what we're feeling on everyday life. So the question is, okay, so what does this do to home sales?
Yeah, people
And
that are wanting to buy and sell.
yeah, it's interesting. So I'm going to share a chart here. And
We also want to caveat that we're not hearing from what we're reading, we're not seeing that it's going to be like it was, if people are having PTSD from like 2010-ish.
exactly, 2008 to 2010 was a very different market and economic market. It's a very different scenario, and so you can't really put that in. And we have been through recession. So let me just share this chart because I found this very interesting.
Okay.
But there, over the last 5 recessions, starting in 1981, you can see that typically in a recession, we see mortgage rates drop. It
Mhm.
has every single recession, and they're putting COVID-19 recession in there as well, and that lasted 2 months. Now, here's my question, and this will be very interesting because interest rates are so low. I know they seem high, but they're very, very low. So
Right.
that doesn't have a long way to come down, but this was predicted that we'd probably get around the 5.5 to 6-ish interest rates, and based on what we have read from, again, people who know, and that's about where we are. So typically in a recession, those interest rates do drop, and they are predicting that the home sale prices in 2022 will rise about 10% still. So that's really good news for 2022. Then it looks like they will start to level off at pre-pandemic rates. So, and remember, pre-pandemic rates were excellent. We had great real estate
Yeah.
markets.
And I think when people are calculating what does it cost to buy a home, this is where having a good lender like Dan Farrell, hey Dan, is really important, because it's like, what is the real cost of the mortgage? It's like the difference between fixing on like what are your payments going to be versus the actual cost. Because you can keep payments low, but an interest rate be high, and you're likely going to be worse off than if your interest rate was low. Do you know what I mean? Like you're
Right.
paying more towards yourself versus the bank. But that's like a conversation with your lender to figure out what is the real cost. What the money that I'm paying, where does it go? Does it get me anywhere? Or am I just paying the bank?
Right. Exactly. No, you're exactly right. So, right. I mean, I think from a real estate sense, I think we're going to see some really good years ahead. So I think we shouldn't panic over that. I think you're going to see some things happen
It
that.
seems like most of the economists are saying don't panic, and yeah, like exactly what you're saying. It's
Right. Right. I mean, the Feds are definitely using tools to get inflation down, and they
Yeah.
understand that. And with that does come some pain on everyday life. So we'll see. We should have some really good,
And I think it seems like people agree that buying real estate either as a primary residence or as investment is still a good investment.
It's a great investment. And as we talked about last week,
Safe, I guess, is also a good word.
it's a safe one. And as we talked about last week, when we showed the chart of, where investments lie, is it stocks, is it gold? Real estate is still very much at the top of over all of those. So real estate is still a great place to put your money.
Well, if people want to, because everybody's situation is different, right? We have to look at the whole picture. So if people want to find out more about, is it a good time for them to sell their house? What could it look like for them? What is the best way to get a hold of you?
Text or call 513-646-1488.
And as a reminder, this is going to go out in the newsletter.
Yes,
So
it
if
will be going
people,
out at 11 o'clock.
awesome. If people are not on the newsletter, they want to get on, how do they do that?
Again, text or call, send me your email address. We're happy to put you on, but this is the article that we're talking about, this subject in our newsletter.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, thank you.